After a brief clash between Xiao and the man in white, terrifying gusts of energy continuously swept through the great hall. The two of them retreated to opposite sides, exchanging cold sneers as they faced each other. Xiao's fire-based power was incredibly powerful, and combined with his precise control over the timing of his attacks, even the man in white could not compare to him. However, on the other hand, no matter how powerful Xiao's attacks were, they were always neutralized by a strange force just before they could strike the man in white. There seems to be something precious on this Lord of Burial Demon River. At this moment, Poison Soul Child was also trying to recall their previous encounter. Let me try this move. Moments later, Xiao was engulfed in roaring flames as he charged toward the man in white. The terrifying heat caused the air in the great hall to crackle with a sizzling sound as if it was burning. Demon light. Seeing Xiao's terrifying attack, the man in white sneered coldly. A strange black mist surged out of his body once again, constantly enveloping him. No matter how fierce Xiao's attacks were, they were still futile. Flame of the Golden Crow. On the side, Xun'er gently waved her jade-like hand, dispelling the sacred flame and using only ordinary flames to form a fiery golden crow, which flew toward the man in white. Crack! The golden crow was once again submerged, but this time, the atmosphere in the hall grew unusually silent. Dance of 10,000 serpents. More and more black mist swirled around, and in the blink of an eye, it transformed into countless demon snakes, continuously swinging their bodies and showing their blood-stained, sinister fangs. With every movement, a multitude of demonic sounds echoed in everyone's minds, shaking their hearts. Soul power. Xiao quickly activated his soul protection to shield himself from the onslaught. However, at this moment, countless demon snakes, covered in demonic runes, surged within the hall, transforming the entire place into a true serpent's den. The scene was truly horrifying. Buzz buzz. Xiao closed his eyes in deep concentration, and an ancient fluctuation rippled within his body. Circles of black ripples spread out like ripples from his feet, and as Xiao moved, all the demon snakes in the great hall dared not show any fighting spirit and quietly lay down in submission. No. Impossible. You, a mere human from the human realm, how could you cultivate our demon realm's supreme technique? At this moment, the man in white's face twisted in rage. His eyes locked onto Xiao as he howled furiously. The Seven Realms divine technique was a culmination of countless techniques from each of the seven realms, crafted by top-tier beings who had spent countless years studying it. The Demon Realm's divine technique, Demon Heart Devouring God, was a deadly suppression technique for those from the demon realm. This was the power of the divine technique. Across the entire demon realm, only a handful of beings could cultivate such a divine technique. Sizzle, tell me where that woman is, or I will obliterate your soul and body. Xiao's demon realm divine technique activated, and his voice grew cold as he spoke. Since his time in the monster realm, ghost realm, Buddhist realm, and demon realm, the divine techniques of these three realms had already been engraved in his mind. Although Xiao felt that the flame mantra was more powerful than all three, he had not yet cultivated it. However, with three divine techniques under his belt, even without having fully cultivated them, merely activating them was enough to pose a lethal threat to his enemies. Russell, you have no chance. That woman is probably already a lost cause, consumed by the chaos of the dance of 10,000 serpents. The countless demon snakes I've bred in the 10,000 serpents demon cavern are slowly devouring her soul, eroding her skin, stripping her flesh, bit by bit. Listening to the man in white speak, his voice was filled with a mad, almost frenzied edge, sounding completely deranged. Rend. Suddenly, hearing the man in white's words, Xiao, with his demon realm divine technique, became as pale as a sheet, stepping forward, inching closer to the man. The mysterious demonic aura around the man's body was instantly corroded and turned into wisps of white mist, dissipating into the air. Master! The demon axe by his side was shocked, looking at Xiao as if he were a god of death. The burial demon river had already brought them very close to the Poison God Palace's headquarters, where only a few of the strongest beings from the Poison God realm could stand their ground. However, under the power of the demon realm divine technique, they seemed as insignificant as ants. Unless they possessed one of the 7 divine artifacts of the demon realm, they could not hope to stand against the user of the divine technique. Since that's the case, then die. After your death, I will slowly invade your consciousness and probe your memories. Xiao arrived at the side of the man in white and raised his hand. A mysterious aura, imbued with supreme magic runes, exuding the power to annihilate all things, slowly pressed down on him. The unique power of the demon realm divine technique was truly uncanny. Boom, boom, boom. An unusual scene occurred. Even though Xiao had used the power of the demon realm divine technique to deliver a fatal blow to the man in white, when the runes hit the man, it seemed as if something was blocking the attack, preventing it from causing any fatal harm. Poison Soul Child's voice had barely faded when his entire body transformed into a swirling mass of green poison mist, completely surrounding his retreat. Boom! Upon hearing this, Xiao immediately increased the power of the demon realm divine technique. However, no matter how much he strengthened his power, he still couldn't break through the strange defense surrounding the white-clad man. Heh. Hold on a moment, a voice echoed. This person is not to die yet. Suddenly, a chilling and eerie aura emerged, resembling a ghostly presence. Who is it? Xun'er furrowed her brows, leaning closer to Xiao, watching the mysterious figure warily. I have no name, but those from the demon realm gave me the nickname Bamboo Spirit Hermit. The eerie mist quickly enveloped the Lord of Burial Demon River's body, and a sinister aura spread as it spoke to Xiao. Your demon realm divine technique is indeed powerful, but this mere surface-level power is not enough to truly obliterate him. He is useful to me. Would you consider showing me some favor? A tone of negotiation came from the mist that called itself Bamboo Spirit Hermit. Xiao didn't answer, but the truth was, the figure had a point. Tear. With a simple motion, a dark passage appeared on the floor of the grand hall, seemingly leading to some distant location. This is the passage to the woman you seek. She is on the brink of death, but if you hurry, she may still have a chance. Heh. This man has treasures, but none of them are one of the 7 divine artifacts of the demon realm, so the principle for all of you is... The Bamboo Spirit Hermit, shrouded in black mist, spoke with a sense of anticipation, as if he had already anticipated Xiao and the others' actions. Let's go. Xiao withdrew his hand. After confirming the faint presence of Little Fairy Doctor's aura within the passage, the 3 of them rushed in together. A treasure's value paled in comparison to the life of Little Fairy Doctor. How did the magic heart bell end up in your hands? Though this thing is merely a celestial artifact, it is truly interesting. The endless fire domain in the human realm. Xiao, we will meet again. I wonder if the heavenly tome's prophecy about the day of the great meeting when the calamity begins is true or not. Xiao, once you've dealt with matters in the demon realm, we will meet again. A faint voice echoed, and immediately, the Lord of Burial Demon River and the demon axe were slowly consumed by the so-called Bamboo Spirit Hermit. The strength of this being was unfathomable, like an endless abyss. Bamboo Spirit Hermit? Who exactly is that? As they traveled down the passage to rescue Little Fairy Doctor, Xiao couldn't help but ask. Bamboo Spirit Hermit. It is said that he is an informant of the demon realm. He holds one of the 7 divine artifacts of the demon realm, the demonic words Heavenly Tome. The demonic words Heavenly Tome doesn't have any substantial offensive power, but its prophecies are always extremely accurate. However, each time it is used to predict, it consumes an enormous amount of energy. Moreover, the Bamboo Spirit Hermit is powerful and elusive. Even our Poison God Palace has no means of dealing with him. There have been rumors that the demonic words Heavenly Tome is one and the same as the Bamboo Spirit Hermit, or that he is the guardian spirit of the Heavenly Tome. But those rumors are too hidden for anyone to verify. Poison Soul Child spoke up. After a moment, they no longer lingered on this mysterious figure's background. The three of them hastened toward the depths below. Nearly an hour later, a strange green mist blocked their path. This green mist contained deadly poison. A careless move could leave even a reincarnation-level expert seriously wounded in an instant. Is this the poison mist gate? It seems that we are indeed at the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern. Step back a little. Poison Soul Child spoke sternly. His body, too, began to emit dense poison mist. Crack! With a single motion, the two poison mists collided, instantly shattering the poisonous light barrier. The three of them seized the opportunity and rushed in. Without the obstruction of the poison mist gate, the true appearance of the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern was revealed before Xiao and the others. It was a labyrinthine cavern filled with rocks, with countless holes and dark passages in all directions. Without guidance, one could easily become lost. A chilling, ominous power pervaded the area, suggesting the presence of countless poisonous creatures. The air was thick with poisonous mist, and the name Demon Cavern was truly well suited. Xiao, although I can sense Little Fairy Doctor's aura, it's very faint. Xun'er, standing at the outer edge of the cavern with the others, spoke with a grave expression. The thick, almost suffocating poison mist in the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern was enough to shock even Xun'er. Finding Little Fairy Doctor in such an environment was certainly a challenge of exponential difficulty. Let's move around and see. In the slightly quieter Demon Cavern, there was no movement. The eerie silence sent chills down one's spine. After a long while, there was still no sign of anything, which made Xiao's previously calm mind grow a little anxious. Little Fairy Doctor was right in front of him, but he couldn't find her at all. Boom! At that very moment, a loud noise echoed from deep within the cavern. Let's go. The three of them exchanged a glance before quickly rushing towards the source of the sound. A few minutes later, they arrived at the origin of the sound. Hearing such a violent noise, Xiao looked up and saw, at the center of the cavern, a slightly smooth rock where a slender figure stood. In an instant, Xiao's expression drastically changed, and his pupils constricted slightly. Not far from him, the figure of a woman in white stood quietly, her gray-purple eyes revealing endless enchantment and a deep, sorrowful pain. Who else could this be but Little Fairy Doctor? Xiao Gij. Seeing Xiao temporarily lose his rationality, as if he were a wild beast, Xun'er's golden sacred flame surged and stopped him in his tracks. Around the rock, countless venomous snakes were lurking. Though they were hidden perfectly, Xun'er saw through them in an instant. The terrifying offensive forces surrounding them would be too much for even their first-tier reincarnation stage strength to withstand. If they acted recklessly, they'd likely meet a disastrous end. Moreover, if one looked carefully at Little Fairy Doctor's eyes, one could see a faint purple snake shadow reflected within. The small snake shadow, though seemingly insignificant, made Xun'er feel an uncomfortable chill run down her spine. This is the core of the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern. Lord of Burial Demon River must be trying to have the 10,000 Snake King, one of his raised magical beasts, devour this girl. But something's not right here. I hope the worst doesn't happen. Poison Soul Child looked at Little Fairy Doctor with deep regret. The horror of the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern was such that even she wouldn't dare to confront it directly now. But this purple 10,000 Snake King was no ordinary beast. It was a magical beast that the Lord of Burial Demon River had spent immense resources to raise, and its venomous power was incredibly potent. Ryup. In the blink of an eye, numerous snake shadows, as thick as an arm, slithered out of the darkness, seemingly guided by some unseen force, and instantly surrounded Xiao and the others. Xun'er, let me be reckless just this once. Xiao regained a moment of rationality and looked at Xun'er with some embarrassment. Xiao Gij, I've told you before, I'll always stay by your side on the road ahead. Xun'er smiled gently, understanding Xiao's feelings. All right, then let's meet this so-called 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern together, husband and wife. With a cold snort, two figures appeared, surrounded by countless flames that illuminated the entire cavern. Boom! The scorching, glazed sacred flame and golden sacred flame erupted, causing the temperature in the entire space to rise rapidly. The magical serpents surrounding Xiao and the others immediately retreated. The sacred flame was extremely holy and fiery, and being creatures of the cold, serpentine magical beasts naturally feared such high temperatures and flames. Xiao Gidge, look. Something seems off around little fairy doctor. With the sacred flame lighting up the cavern's dark tunnels, the full view of the demon cavern was revealed. Far in the distance, little fairy doctor stood gracefully, her eyes wide open, yet she seemed to be in a daze. Surrounding her, an invisible, powerful force appeared to be restraining her. The most striking feature was the dark green light pulsing within her body, releasing a wave of astonishing fluctuations, resisting countless forces. Is that the poison core? What's going on here? Xiao mind was plagued with countless questions. Wait, is the poison body backfiring? Xiao, if we kill the master of the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern, this girl can absorb its power and break through herself. Reaching Do Xian would be no problem. At that moment, Poison Soul Child spoke with immense joy. Talents like Little Fairy Doctor, with a poison body, didn't train in the same way as normal humans, taking step-by-step cultivation. Instead, they cultivated through poison, swallowing poison, absorbing venom and poison mist, and all things related to poison would increase the strength of the poison body holder exponentially. As long as the poison body could withstand this terrifying onslaught, their power would increase geometrically. This was the terrifying power of Little Fairy Doctor's woeful poison body after it had transformed into a poison core. Now, it seemed Poison Soul Child understood that the Lord of Burial Demon River intended to turn her into feed for the 10,000 Snake King, to make the beast even stronger. But sadly, he had forgotten. There was always something more powerful. Xun'er, leave the snake shadows around the cavern to you. The 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern, located deep beneath the Burial Demon River and constantly shrouded by thick poisonous mists, had its air corrupted over the years. Any accidental inhalation could lead to disastrous consequences. Fortunately, Xiao possessed the precious deer antlers of the shaman Deer Violet Spirit Flame, which could ward off countless poisons, alleviating the pressure from the toxic mist for him and his companions. Xun'er smiled gently and nodded. Golden flames erupted around her, transforming into scorching golden crows that swept through the shadows, driving away the venomous demon snakes lurking in the dark. Without her intervention, the overwhelming number of snakes could have made their situation perilous. Within the cavern, the rocks were riddled with faint gaps, from which thick poisonous mists continued to spread. It seemed that even more terrifying creatures dwelled deeper inside. Xiao encased in sacred flame, moved closer to the dazed Little Fairy Doctor. Currently, Little Fairy Doctor's breath came in steady, rhythmic waves. Though her body showed no movement, it was as though some creature had hypnotized her. Xiao also noticed the poison core on her body was faintly glowing, but there was no sign of an impending danger. The pressing concern now was to rescue her from the grasp of the 10,000 Snake King. This piece of rock seems ordinary, but after years of poisoning mists, it's become a poisonous trap. As Xiao moved cautiously, his soul and sacred flame powers sending back feedback with each step, his expression grew more solemn. The eerie and deadly poison was enough to make even the protective deer antlers tremble. He knew that one mistake could lead to catastrophic consequences. Whoosh! Moments later, Xiao increased his power to protect his body, his focus sharp as he stepped onto the smooth, flat rock. As soon as his foot touched the surface, a chill ran through him, and a horrifying aura surged through his body. He instantly leaped backward, as if struck by an electric shock. Brother Xiao, are you all right? Xun'er, witnessing the movement, immediately asked, having observed everything that had just happened. I'm fine, but there seems to be some strange aura near Little Fairy Doctor. Xiao shook his head, his eyes darting around. The chilling force he had just encountered had sent a familiar shiver down his spine, one he hadn't felt in a long time. Rock fragment heavenly burial. In the next instant, the sacred flame technique of the Fireheart Heavenly Rock's sacred flame origin was unleashed. Rocks flew from the cavern floor, surrounding Xiao Yin to form a massive fiery sphere. With a cold smile, Xiao Yin pressed his toe onto the toxic mist, using his left hand to control the rock fragment Heavenly Burial technique, while a ball of glass-like flames emerged in his right hand. His figure transformed into a fiery fox, racing toward Little Fairy Doctor with lightning speed. Boom! Just as the fearsome waves of energy neared Little Fairy Doctor, two terrifying forces collided, sending ripples of intense heat and eerie energy through the air. Little Fairy Doctor, you'll be fine. With the barrier broken, Xiao Yin felt a huge wave of relief as he quickly approached within a meter of Little Fairy Doctor. He couldn't help but glance at her white-robed figure, a flood of emotions swelling in his heart. Their reunion in such circumstances brought back memories of their past adventures on the Dochi continent. Rip. A moment later, a purple snake shadow slowly emerged from Little Fairy Doctor's beautiful eyes. It quickly transformed into a massive purple energy snake, coiling around her fragile body. The snake's body was segmented into 10 parts, each exuding a dangerous poisonous mist. As it tightened its grip around Little Fairy Doctor, the light from the poison core within her dimmed, its glow weakening as if on the verge of extinguishing. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Before Xiao Yin could make a move, the purple snake let out a terrifying hiss, causing the entire space to vibrate. This is the 10,000 Snake King of the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern. It has ruled this place for countless years, controlling a terrifying venomous power. It is the king of this domain. Poison Soul Child's expression turned grave as he began to gather energy in his hands, preparing for a deadly strike. How dare the lowly humans from the human realm disturb this king's feast? You deserve to die 1,000 deaths. A cold snort echoed, accompanied by a blinding purple poisonous light that flashed through the cavern. Looking up, the purple serpent shadow that had been entwining Little Fairy Doctor had disappeared, replaced by a graceful and enchanting woman. She was holding the disoriented Little Fairy Doctor in her arms, a mocking smile curling at the corner of her lips as she gently sniffed the air around Little Fairy Doctor's face, as if drawing something from her body. Her expression was one of great enjoyment. The woman's body was covered with scales resembling those of a serpent, purple and radiating a terrifying toxic mist that seemed to corrode everything. A sinister, cunning aura emanated from her, filling the air. Fortunately, with the protection of the poison core, Little Fairy Doctor should be fine for now. After confirming that Little Fairy Doctor's life was not in immediate danger, Xiao Yin let out a heavy sigh of relief. However, the look of comfort on his face slowly transformed into a murderous intent. What a terrifying poison mist! It seems that the Lord of Burial Demon River is raising this creature, trying to help it evolve into his personal enforcer. The Poison Soul Child's assault was still gathering, but seeing the towering figure of the 10,000 Snake King surrounded by the poisonous mist, Xiao Yan's expression darkened. In terms of poison, even he, a third-tier reincarnation stage cultivator, could not compare to this creature. Upon closer inspection, Xiao Yin could tell that the 10,000 Snake King's strength was only at the peak of the second-tier reincarnation stage. You've harmed her. Then prepare to die. Without saying another word, Xiao Yin summoned glimmering, glass-like flames from behind him, flames so fierce they seemed capable of burning through everything. It was as though a fiery soul mountain, imbued with unimaginable divine power, had appeared, and an overwhelming fury and murderous intent filled the air. As soon as the flame soul mountain manifested, the entire demon cavern trembled violently. Countless magic serpents that had been hiding in the cavern's gaps scattered and fled, as though the cavern itself would be obliterated once this power was fully unleashed. At this moment, the demon cavern was thick with the scent of gunpowder and the aura of an overwhelming rage. Human, let's talk this through. Feeling the terrifying aura of near-total destruction, the 10,000 Snake King shifted her cold gaze from Little Fairy Doctor and slowly turned to face Xiao Yin. The power of the sacred flame was utterly destructive to creatures like her, living in the eerie depths of the earth. If Xiao Yin really unleashed this attack, the entire 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern would likely be destroyed, and the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern was the very foundation of the 10,000 Snake King. If it was destroyed, it would be a catastrophe. If you hurt her, then die. At this point, Xiao seemed to have gone mad. The flame soul mountain behind him grew even more solid, and with each step he took toward the 10,000 Snake King, a terrifying pressure filled the air, enough to crush any second-tier reincarnation stage expert. Cough. Xiao. Xiao, you've misunderstood. Just as Xiao attack was about to land, little fairy doctor suddenly trembled, her delicate body shaking a few times before she weakly regained consciousness and spoke in a faint voice. Sister little fairy doctor? Xun'er quickly rushed to Xiao side and, seeing little fairy doctor up close, immediately spoke in a worried tone. Little fairy doctor was now surrounded by a greenish-black toxic mist, with the poison core emanating around her, accentuating her stunning figure. However, her pale face was filled with a deep seriousness, as if she had encountered some grave danger. Humph! Seeing the woman beside her wake up, the 10,000 Snake King's pressure greatly diminished, but she still looked at Xiao with caution, her body radiating a terrifying poison mist. She glared at him with a serious expression, ready to flee at any moment. Xun'er. Little fairy doctor turned her back, wrapping her delicate form in a layer of grayish-purple toxic mist, seemingly avoiding Xiao. After leaving the continent of Doqi, my poison core activated, and countless poison mists poured out. I was captured by the Lord of Burial Demon River and thrown into this place. Unfortunately, the 10,000 Snake King couldn't consume me, so this was our agreement. I expel excess poison mist for her to absorb, and in exchange, she uses the power of the 10,000 Serpents Demon Cavern's poison mist to help me break through to Doqian. Hidden within the toxic mist, little fairy doctor spoke slowly, and her aura began to rise at a terrifying speed. 1-star Do D. 2-star Do D. In less than a minute, her strength reached the level of Doqian. Though still somewhat unstable, with the help of her poison arts and the poison core, it wouldn't be long before her power fully stabilized. Upon hearing this, Xiao slowly lowered the terrifying attack he had summoned. However, his gaze remained fixed on the hidden little fairy doctor. Why was she avoiding him? And though her power had soared, the aura she was giving off seemed off. With a rip, Xiao stepped forward and, disregarding the terrifying poison mist, reached out and tore through the protective layers of mist surrounding her. The poisonous mist dissipated, and little fairy doctor's appearance once again entered Xiao line of sight. However, this time, her face, as well as the grayish pupils, were disturbed by countless venomous insects wriggling beneath her skin, flickering in her eyes. She looked almost like an extremely evil poison woman. Having been momentarily distracted, Xiao had swiftly torn away the poison mist that had concealed her face and figure. Little fairy doctor hurriedly used a gentle poison mist to shield Xiao hand and lowered her head in a somewhat distressed and guilty manner, as if she found it hard to face him properly. Although little fairy doctor was naturally indifferent, she was aware that Xiao was already married. Therefore, no matter how overwhelming the emotions inside her were, she tried her best to suppress them. Now that her poison arts had evolved again, her face had become blurred and grotesque, which explained the earlier scene. Sister little fairy doctor. At this moment, Xun'er slowly moved forward, gently taking little fairy doctor's hand, and smiled sweetly. That smile seemed to carry 1,000 words within it. Under Xun'er's tender smile and gesture, little fairy doctor was momentarily stunned. In her memory, Xun'er had always been a princess-like figure, so how could she be? How's the situation? Xiao furrowed his brows, looking at the subtle poison mist shifting under little fairy doctor's skin, feeling worried. It's fine. However, little fairy doctor gathered the poison mist around her body, hesitated slightly, as if there was something she found hard to speak of. The poison art inside this girl is incomplete, and it's not the most refined type. Coupled with her poison core, it's common for things like these uncontrollable poison mists to occur. If you want to solve this problem, there's probably only one way. Upon seeing their actions, Poison Soul Child's expression subtly shifted. As a poison hag from the Poison God Palace, her eyes were naturally sharp and seasoned. What way? Xiao Yin and Xun'er quickly asked, as solving Little Fairy Doctor's condition was the most pressing matter at hand. Senior Poison Hag, no? Little Fairy Doctor trembled suddenly, as if she didn't want Poison Soul Child to continue speaking. Girl, your poison body is extremely rare. If you cultivate it properly, your future achievements will be limitless. Moreover, the strength of the two in front of you has already reached the reincarnation stage. Surely, you wouldn't want to stay behind them forever, would you? Looking at the bond between you three, if you obtain this and head to the Poison God Palace in just a few decades, your achievements might not be lower than theirs. By then, with strength in hand, other matters would be easily resolved, right? Poison Soul Child whispered softly into Little Fairy Doctor's ear, clearly having already discerned some unusual aspects of their relationship. Every word she spoke was meant to lure Little Fairy Doctor further. But, having left the Do-Chi continent, Little Fairy Doctor had gained new insights into the power structures of the vast world. Listening to Poison Soul Child, she hesitated. Senior, just speak. Xiao Yin pressed again. To resolve this girl's situation, there's only one way. This method is simple, but also very dangerous. In our Poison God Palace, there is a forbidden area called the Demon Poison God Pool, and inside it resides a formidable poisonous magical beast, the 8-venom demon snake. Poison Soul Child spoke with some heat in her voice. The 8-venom demon snake? Little Fairy Doctor's face immediately turned pale, and she quickly rejected. Senior Poison Hag. This is absolutely not possible. The 8-venom demon snake is a treasure trove in itself. It even contains a powerful poison core that has been cultivated for thousands of years. If obtained, this girl's condition could be completely resolved. Moreover, its blood, its essence, would be a great tonic for her. But the strength of this poisonous magical beast is terrifying. I'm not sure. Poison Soul Child said with a faint smile, clearly confident that she had already won Xiao Yin over. Lead the way, Senior. Xun'er exchanged a knowing smile with Xiao Yin, clearly agreeing with the latter's decision. Xiao Yin smiled brightly and said, no matter how terrifying the 8-venom demon snake is, it must die this time. Heh, I was waiting for you to say that. Upon hearing Xiao Yin's firm reply, Poison Soul Child smiled mischievously. Xiao Yin, the 8-venom demon snake, is one of the guardian beasts of the Poison God Palace. Its strength is incredibly formidable. It's said to have survived 4 heavenly tribulations, and its power is on par with a 4-tier reincarnation expert. Moreover, poison-based magical beasts have historically been much stronger than ordinary humans and magical beasts in battle. There's no need to take this risk for me. My condition isn't too bad. I can. Little Fairy Doctor hastily advised. The Poison God Palace is an enormous entity, the true hegemon in the demon realm. Entering the Poison God Palace's forbidden area alone is already difficult for most people, let alone dealing with a gigantic creature that has survived for tens of thousands of years. The danger level increases exponentially. Little Fairy Doctor would certainly never let Xiao Yin risk it. 4th-tier reincarnation stage? Xiao Yin was momentarily stunned upon hearing this. Although he had heard that the Poison God Palace had immense power within the demon realm, he didn't expect that one of its guardian beasts would be this strong. Moreover, since this magical beast is one of the guardians of the Poison God Palace, how could Poison Soul Child send them to hunt it? This smells a little like the thief is guarding the treasure. Or is Poison Soul Child scheming something else? You don't know the whole story. The rules of the Poison God Palace are different from those of the human realm. The so-called guardian beasts here aren't just protectors, but actually bullies who occupy the rich cultivation resources of the Poison God Palace's ley lines. Take the 8-venom demon snake, for instance. Its strength is terrifying, and with the power of 8 types of venom, even some elders within the palace can't do anything about it. That's why it has survived. If someone can kill it, The people of the Poison God Palace would certainly be pleased. The 8-venom demon snake is useless to the strongest of the palace, but it's perfect for this girl. That's what has created this situation where the strong are unwilling to act, and the weak can't handle it. Poison Soul Child explained. There's no time to waste, let's go. After some further discussions, and once other details were confirmed, Xiao and the others, under the effect of Poison Soul Child's spatial scroll, headed straight for the 8-venom demon snake's lair. As the poison hag of the Poison God Palace, Poison Soul Child was not involved in the palace's internal affairs. As long as she could find a suitable poison body and cultivate it, the rewards she would get would be unprecedented. Given her strength and familiarity with the Poison God Palace, she could avoid many troubles along the way. After all, they were entering the Poison God Palace alone. If anyone with ill intentions discovered them, they could easily be framed for any crime. The 4th-tier reincarnation stage, this level of strength, was undoubtedly destructive and challenging for Xiao at his current level. Whoosh whoosh. As the spatial scroll tore through the air, the group entered the void. They were not discovered by any suspicious individuals along the way as they headed towards the lair of the 8-venom demon snake. It seems like the Poison God realm is about to change. The 10,000 Snake King below slightly raised his eyes, watching Xiao and the others disappear. The Poison God realm would no longer be peaceful, but what filled her heart was more of a burning desire. If Little Fairy Doctor's woeful poison body fully developed, she could definitely rank among the top experts in the Poison God realm. The eerie and silent void seemed to exude an overwhelming dread. After a day's travel, the group arrived in a dim and desolate space. It was eerily quiet, with no light in sight, resembling a desolate, lifeless land. A chill ran down their spines, as if something terrifying lurked in the shadows. We've arrived. The Poison God Demon Pool is ahead. Poison Soul Child tore through the void, stepping in and speaking to the others behind her. Upon hearing this, Xiao stepped forward first, raising his head as his eyes filled with surging soul power, scanning the void around them. In the distance, the thick poison mist almost made Xiao eyes sting. Below, the poisonous marshes stretched out, and deep within these venomous swamps stood a grayish-white stone hall, exuding an ancient aura. The 8-venom demon snake? Little Fairy Doctor's chest thumped violently, and the poison core Xiao helped her refine seemed to be drawn toward something, releasing terrifying poison mist. Little Fairy Doctor's woeful poison body was very special. It could only upgrade by continually consuming and absorbing poison. This technique was somewhat similar to the flame mantra. The two were essentially the same. Sister Little Fairy Doctor, don't worry. Xun'er grasped Little Fairy Doctor's hand and spoke reassuringly. Xun'er knew that Xiao still had some unspoken feelings for Little Fairy Doctor, Yun, and the others. Rather than letting Xiao bear the burden alone, it would be better for them to face it together. As for what would happen next, let it be. It seems something delicious is coming our way. Let me sniff. This is the scent of a precious poison body. A deep, eerie voice boomed like thunder across the entire Poison God Demon Pool. Waves of poisonous energy spread out, carrying terrifying fluctuations that could easily crush anyone at the 1st or 2nd-tier reincarnation stage into nothing. This was the 8-venom demon snake, hidden deep within the Poison God Demon Pool. Poisonous Mist Heaven. Woeful poison body. Both Poison Soul Child and Little Fairy Doctor spoke in unison. Their brilliant poison dochi formed a protective barrier around the group, shielding them from the poison mist's onslaught. Without their protection, they would be in serious trouble, as the venom from a creature like the 8-venom demon snake could even erode Xiao soul power. This creature must have sensed our presence. After all, the poison mist originates from the same source. The two of them worked together to block the poisonous mist. Poison Soul Child's expression was serious as he spoke. From here on, we can only rely on Xiao. Whether or not he can eliminate this poison beast is uncertain. Then let's have a meeting with the so-called poison beast of the Poison God Palace. Xiao sneered, and layers of translucent, glass-like flames began to rise around him. His eyes were filled with an unprecedented madness. Whoosh whoosh. The four moved at lightning speed, almost instantly arriving at the center of the gray-white stone hall in the demon poison god pool. Upon reaching the stone hall, they were slightly surprised to find the space around it filled with towering stone peaks. Majestic and glorious, they were probably several hundred meters tall. On top of the peaks, strands of green venom were particularly conspicuous, as though there were living creatures within them. "Russell, Russell, you've finally arrived," a voice suddenly rang out, filled with extreme disdain, like a rolling thunder that echoed from within the stone hall. As soon as the voice faded, the entire demon poison god pool began to stir. Bubbles containing deadly poison mist began to rise from the ground. With each movement of these bubbles, an intense, soul-shocking wave of terrifying energy radiated from them,